Hello and welcome to It's How You'll Be Remembered. I am Julie Jones, your host and the CEO of Today's Professionals. And with me today, I'm so excited about this. We have Lady Jen Du Plessis with us. Lady Jen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Number one, it's my pleasure to be with you, and I love sharing. Love sharing. So I am delighted to have that opportunity.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing because you have several podcasts. One
Yes.
is Business on the Vine
Hmm.
podcast, which I was honored to be a guest on that. And
Yeah.
then you have two others. Share
Mm.
with us your others.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So my longest running podcast is called Mortgage Lending Mastery. It is for professionals in the mortgage and real estate space. And I'm the longest running podcast in that market. And that's been 14 years. So I'm
Wow.
old veteran in this. And then the second one is called Success to Significance: Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Now, this isn't for women and glass ceilings because we all have glass ceilings that we're
Yep.
breaking through every single day. And, sometimes we tap on the ceiling and we're afraid to break it because it might hurt, but then we see someone above and we're like, oh, they
I
made
want
it
to,
through it. I want to hear their story. Yeah.
yeah, I
So,
want to get it.
yeah, love it.
Oh, so great. Well, we met networking, I have to say, on a cruise ship on the marketers cruise.
Yeah.
And whenever we say we met networking and I talk about you have to get out and sometimes you have to
Yeah.
get on a plane and sometimes you have to get on a ship, but you need to meet really cool people.
Right.
And you are one of the really cool people that I've met, and you've already
Oh,
connected me to so many people, and I am just so eternally grateful for this connection.
no, my
This
pleasure. My
is
pleasure. I
so
told you this is just something I do, and I feel compelled to connect people. Yeah.
yeah, and you're great at it. So if you are joining us live, which by the way, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. If you are here, be sure and say hello in the comments. We want to know that you're here. And if you have a comment or a question, be sure and type it into the chat. We want to be able to talk with you live while we're here. And so we are talking today about how to grow your business through strong relationships.
Yeah.
And there's an art form to this, and you specifically speak to this because this isn't about networking, going in and throwing business cards at people and saying, buy from me.
Yeah.
Uh, but strong relationships are really the key, the secret to building
Right.
strong businesses, right?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, as we were talking in the green room, I'm thinking, there's so much I could cover that I'm not going to get through all of it. There's no way. And I apologize for that, everybody, because I'm going to land some great fire for you today. Stuff you've never even thought of. And I always look at it as building deeper, stronger, richer relationships. Rich because people enrich your life. Rich monetarily too. But if we
Yeah,
look at deeper, stronger, richer relationships, rather than the tendency for us to go horizontal with, I need the next lead, I need another lead, I need another lead. We have acres and acres of diamonds underneath us with every person that we meet,
yeah,
but we're all skimming the surface, right? We're just like, oh, here's my card, that kind of thing. And we sort of skim the surface and we don't really see how the connection can work. And I know I've found that several times. And let me ask you this. Well, I'll ask everybody this. Have you ever been introduced to somebody in a network, like someone's pulling the arm of someone and they're like, you guys need to meet, and then they walk away, right? Have you ever done that? It's amazing because then the two people are standing there going,
why do
uh,
we need to
why do
meet?
we need to meet? I don't understand it, right? And so that would be the first lesson today is please don't introduce people just for the sake of introducing. Explain why you're introducing, right? Explain why you're making that introduction. That's how the relationships can go deeper because we assume that people can see the connection. And if they can't see that connection, then we've just done them, harm.
Right.
So rather than going wider, and yes, we want to go wider. That's okay. I'm not telling you not to. We also want to go deeper and create a web that is
Yes.
attracting people. So I'll leave it at
Yes.
that to start.
I think that is fantastic because this gets into the etiquette, right, of making introductions. And so
Absolutely.
you want to tell people why you're connecting them. And this even goes when you're doing an email or a
Yeah.
LinkedIn introduction, or sometimes I've made them on Facebook, but it's, look, I want to connect the two of you because this is what you do and this is what this person does. And I thought you would have great synergy.
Yeah.
I know that we've both talked about building a course, and you two would be great synergistic partners or whatever. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to make the connection for them. And when we were on Business on the Vine, we talked a lot about the etiquette
Yeah.
of doing
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. And it's, and sometimes there are, and I just want to make sure everybody understands this, because part of relationship development is also knowing personality styles. And I think that a lot of people, like, oh, I did the DISC program years ago. I did Myers-Briggs. I did, your genius zone, whatever these things are. But the thing is, it's really, really important, because if you're going to have a relationship with someone, and we all have a multitude of different personalities, different competencies, different layers of our business, that maybe some of us are new, some are veterans. We have these different layers. It's really important for you to know, one, how to introduce them. When I was in the mortgage business years ago, I had this real estate agent go, "This is my mortgage chick." And I was like, oh, no, that's not going to work for me, because I worked too hard to get the
Right.
delegations that I had, the designations that I had, the clarity, right, that I have, the credibility. No, 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 that doesn't work that way. Right? And that's an
Right.
etiquette thing. There's no question about it.
Disrespect. Yeah.
But there's also, but someone who said, "This is my mortgage chick," is most likely, and I love DISC, so most likely in DISC profile is very driven, right? They're like bottom liners. "This is my mortgage chick."
Yeah.
But if I'm on the receiving end and I'm a D, I'd be going, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And I'd be doing the same thing. But I'm not. I am a D, definitely driven, but I'm a high I, so I'm more about the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Hey, you two need to meet. You're going to have so much fun together. Yeah, yeah, yeah." Right. So it's the words that you use, how long you make that. It's a short introduction or a long introduction, that it has emojis in it for people who like that. When it gets straight, it has bullets. The reason I wanted to introduce you is because boom, 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 because that's what a C likes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she has a great community. You're going to love her community. That's an S. So you have to know how to make these introductions so that people understand
Mm-hmm.
what you already know, right?
Yep.
You already know they're going to be great together. They can't see it. And you have to be I would say this all the time, be the leader in the relationship. Always be the one who goes first with introductions and
Yeah.
connections and
Yeah.
referrals.
Yes.
Understanding that I don't even like the word referrals. We can talk about that too, if you want.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, well, let's talk about it because we want to talk about, ways that you can
Yeah.
grow without being
Salesy.
pushy. And
Yeah.
so asking for referrals is one of the tips, that you have to ask. I remember Jim Rohn
Yeah.
saying, do you want to grow your business? Do you want business? Okay, I'm going to tell you the secret. And he said, write it down. Everybody and it was silence in the room.
Right.
Everybody get ready. Ask. There
Yeah.
you go.
Ask. Right. So let me give you a couple of ways not to ask. How about that?
Okay, I love
Hey,
that.
Julie, do you have any deals for me?
No.
Hey, Julie, do you know anybody who can buy my product? Right.
Right.
These
That's
are
not,
not
yeah,
ways. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
things
And
not to
that is
do.
so pitchy. Or even, do you know anybody who would maybe kind of, I mean, that's not good either, right?
No,
So we don't
too
want to go
soft.
the opposite side of it. But here's the thing. I think there are leads. I think there are referrals. I think there are connections. I think there are opportunities, right? Speaking opportunities. I think there are JV partnerships. There is affiliates. There
Mm,
are speaking engagements, at retreats back and forth. There are list sharing. I call them opportunities.
yeah.
And if you change your mindset And it's not asking for a referral. It's asking for a plethora of different things, which are opportunities that will move the needle on your business. Then you've won.
Right.
I was
The
in BNI for 7 years, and I was the one that go, anybody besides Jen that has referrals today, because I would have a stack of them. And people would I'd walk up and here's your referral, here's your referral, and I'm passing out my little BNI slips and stuff. And then people go, this isn't a referral. And I go,
Yeah,
so
I
tell
was
me why
thinking
it's
about
not a
that.
referral.
I was thinking about that when you were talking earlier, is, it has to be a genuine connection where there's possibility that you see in your mind that you give to them. It can't just be, oh, I just want to make a connection so that you can meet somebody. There has to be a reason to meet.
Right. But they would give it back not knowing and understanding, and at that time, and I created this thing called a 54321, which, you'd have to contact me if you want it. But
Yeah.
the BNI had this little thermometer on the side, and they had a thermometer, right? Like hot down all the way down. And knowing, if you don't know about BNI, it's Business Networking International, but what BNI did is that the members created that little referral slip. So they were like, well, how hot is this lead? Right? Is this a hot lead, a sort of hot, a tepid, a warm, a cold, whatever the leads. And so I would give people things that are at the bottom of the thermometer, and people are like, that's not a lead. Oh, so let me get this straight. So you only want hot leads. You only want hot leads, because see, it's not my job to nurture them to the point where they'll be hot for you. It's your job to nurture them to the point where they'll be hot for you. This is why we want opportunities on podcasts where we're doing lead gen, right? Because that is purely lead gen. Gen, because the intent is that we're going to nurture them to a point where we're going to have a strong relationship or a buying opportunity or whatever, opportunity, right? Whatever the opportunity is.
Right.
And so it's not my job to, coach them to the point where they can be a hot lead for you. You're the one who should be doing that, right? But we miss so many opportunities when all we're doing is looking for the one that's ready today, when in fact there are all kinds. That low level, we'll call it low level, the kind of lukewarm, long shot. I can't make money on that, but I can make money from it.
That's right. We
Once
don't do
I meet
business
them,
together.
Who do they know?
Yes.
This is
We do
my
business through each other.
Yeah, this is my ... method. People are like, I just need the hot lead. Thank you, done. By the way, referrals, when you're having a one-to-one, I have to stay on this topic just for a minute. When you're having I'm telling you, watch out, because I'm on a roll.
Yeah, I love it. Keep going, because I put this up here. Your dot.
I know, the method. If I'm having a one-to-one with you, Julie, and I get on the one-to-one, and this happens to me, right? The first thing we have to do is set intention. We have to set intention. And the intention is, if your intent is to come on and do a one-to-one with me, and you've caught me through Instagram, and you got through the filters, right? And you got me on Instagram, and your intent is to pitch me, I'll hang up on you, because I'm not for that. That's not what we do. I mean, that's not an etiquette thing. I'm not gonna hang up. I'm just gonna stop the meeting and say, look, the intent of this meeting is for us to determine if we have some common interest in working together. Now, notice the verbiage that I used.
Yep.
I didn't say I'd like to get together to see if we're a good fit.
That's right.
I don't like that.
I
would like to get together to see if we have some common interest in working together, right? Or serving one another, helping each other grow. But it is never, I want to get together because I want to pitch you. Do you know how short-sighted that is? If I'm meeting with you and all I'm thinking is a pitch her, and I bring my big toolbox and I dump it out, right? I dump it out and I go, pick something, pick something here, pitch. I only have one opportunity. You're either going to say yes or you're going to say no. But if I come in with my briefcase that's attached to me with handcuffs, and they're going, what's that? What's that secret thing? And I'm going, ooh, I don't know. Let's have a conversation. And I might open up my secret sauce that says, ooh, this is how we're going to work together. What do you think? And now I have the opportunity for all of the opportunities behind it. Let's find out what we can do together. We're going to get in that boat together. I'm not going to be in my little boat and your little boat, and we hit and a fish flies and we go, thanks for the lead. But we're going to get in the boat together. and we're going to go find opportunities and adventures to create for one another.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is exactly the right strategy. I teach that there is to set the intention, and I work a lot with young professionals, and so they really don't know about this because
Yeah,
there's a thing called what you just described earlier was the bait and switch,
yeah,
where we
yeah,
get on a one-to-one and it's really just a sales pitch, and that is the most frustrating thing ever.
yeah, yeah.
And so I teach my clients to send the email. So excited to meet with you. We're going to meet for 30 minutes via a video call, via Zoom or whatever. And here's what we're going to do. And and I have a template of the 3 C's of intentional conversations. And I
There-
step them through that. And I tell them, set the intention in the email. Those that really just want to sell you will cancel that appointment. And those who are really genuine, because the language is about, we're going to find out how we can work together and help each other, support each other in our businesses. But those that genuinely want to network with you will keep that appointment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's all these no shows too. I mean, there's something Greg Reed taught me, and I actually think he learned this from somebody else too. But it's he calls it CPC. Okay, clues, patterns, and choices. Now I changed it. I genized it, right? Because we should model people and then modify, right? We should never take. So I modeled this, and I modified, and I thought, I want to call it CPCC, which is clues, patterns, conversations, and choices. So if someone doesn't show up, right, for a meeting, that's a clue. Then you reschedule and they don't show up again, that's a pattern. And what Greg says is now you make a choice. I'm either going to work with you or I'm not, because I'm not going to have this happen, right?
Right.
I think the conversation has to be had first before I make the choice.
Yeah.
Because things could happen, right? Things could happen. But if the clue is pitch, 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 and the pattern is continue to pitch, 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 I may not have a conversation and just say, I don't think that we're a great, I hate saying fit, right? I don't like that, but I don't think that we have common interests together. I don't think this is going to be good for me and my team, right?
Right. Yep.
So
Smart.
I don't know if that helps, but clues, patterns, and choices, and you're right. You see this all the time, where people are just, they're so hungry. Look, there's above the line and below the line. Above is abundance, and below is scarcity. And you may think you're in abundance, but you're not. You're in scarcity when you're looking like a cat on a marble floor in oil.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
Yeah. And yet you're just on this hamster wheel because your approach is different. If you want to change your life, you got to change your approach. You got to start with you.
Yeah.
I want to
Absolutely.
take a moment here to recognize Mark
Yeah.
is here. And he says, will there be a recording on this chat? Yes,
Hi,
this will
Mark.
be
I know Mark.
live on, Mark?
Yeah. Yeah.
This will be live it will be on LinkedIn. There'll be some reels that come out. It will be on YouTube as well as Facebook. So yes, there will be some ways for you to go back and look at that. Several ways for you to do
Thank you,
that. So
Mark.
Mark, we're glad you're here. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Well, and the fact that you're asking about it means you heard something you really liked. So maybe you could put that in the chat for us so that we know what just resonated with you. Because I think
Yes.
it's really important. It's like, oh, most people will ask, is this going to be recorded right at the moment that they got something, but they didn't get it all? They didn't capture all the pieces of it. And they're like, this is good
Right.
stuff. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they could be watching it in the car and they've just pulled up and they're like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
gosh,
And they're like,
or
yeah.
listening to it in the car. I hope you're not watching a video in the car because I
No,
listen to
no.
videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be anything. So thank you for chiming in, Mark. We are so glad that you are here. But back to our conversation, we were talking about giving values. We're talking about those intentional conversations and the etiquette of making introductions and really forming partnerships.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, something that I'm going to find the research here from form strategic. Okay, wait a minute. That's not what I wanted to do. Although that was a good one. Form
What is that
strategic
one?
partnerships, collaborate with businesses that have a similar audience, but
Right.
aren't direct competitors. And then you cross promote. I
Yeah.
do that with master classes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Partner
Yeah,
with somebody.
I do it as well, but I probably do it very unique and very different from what you do, because this is something that I learned from someone else, and then I genized it, right? And now I'm, so let me just kind of plant the seed. Clients
Yeah,
pay
go
me
ahead.
$100,000 for a single VIP day with me,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Where we dig in, they get their results. Why wait for a year on a program? Let's get it done.
Done
And,
today.
and my clients will pay me $100,000 for a single VIP day with me. And not about networking, it's about business growth, but we tap into everything, while we're doing it. So in my master classes, yes, we have the collaborations and whatnot, but I just had my first $100,000 day through a master class.
Good for you.
And that's
Congratulations.
because of, it's not to boast or anything, but that's because of the relationships I have.
Hmm.
Because the relationships are so strong and solid that my partners could sell me better than I sell me. Right?
Wow.
They know so much about me. They know exactly how I operate. They know, and they can edify me better than me going, look at me, right? They're edifying me as they're telling their clients about coming to this masterclass and how important it is. And you just don't know, you're just getting the surface in this class. You're not even tapping into all the brilliance that, she brings. And I
Wow.
do with my clients. I'm not my clients, my partners,
Your
right? I do
partners.
that with
Yeah.
my partners as well. I like to get to know them so that I can make those firm introductions, so that I can understand exactly how they tick and what they're looking for. And I dig deep into that. And that's why we don't do one and done. A lot of times people are like, I met you at some place, let's do a one-to-one, and then you've never heard from them again, right?
Right.
So if you're watching this, is that you? Has that happened to you where you walked out and you came with that big basket or the big toolbox that I told you about? You dumped it on, you talked all the time, you went after them, and they're waiting, they're going, it's coming, they're going to ask, right? And all of that. And then you leave and you give yourself a virtual high five. You're like, man, that was great. And the other person's going, delete, right? Delete. And you're,
100%.
yeah,
Yes.
you're going, oh, we're going to have a relationship. And then crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets start happening. And I think that it's important for us to get to know people and at a deeper level, so
Mhm.
that we can edify one another, and that elevates everybody. And so don't think that you're going to do one and done and get it all out. That's not how. You don't, I mean, unless you're doing married at first sight, you're getting married, right? You've heard that before in sales, is that you have
Right.
to court them, right? It's
Yeah.
nurturing sequence, but you
Yeah.
have to meet over and over and over. And if you've given everything, and this is why no one makes the second call, because they're like, I just want to feel salesy because we already met and I don't have anything else to talk to them about. Well, that's because showed up and throwed up.
That's right. That's
You
right.
showed up and throwed up, and there's nothing more to talk about.
That's
And I
right.
get that. I was there. I was there in those early days.
And we all are, it's an evolution, but that's what's so important about these conversations that we're having today. Tell
Yeah,
us about this conversation to cash, or
yeah.
introduction to that. It was another introduction to
Intro
what?
to income. Yeah,
Yeah.
intro to income. Yeah. So everything I would do, like I have hustle to harmony, right? So it's like H2H, C2C, right? It's
I love
becoming these
that.
little acronyms for
I
me. I didn't know, but I'm all about the transformation, right? From here to there.
Mhm.
Being where you're at and feeling stuck and going, okay, what are the steps to get unstuck so I can go to the promised land, right? Or this
Right.
is my hell and I want to go to heaven, right? What are the steps to get there, right?
I love
So
that. Yeah.
so and I had this too, I would come in and dump everything on because that's what I thought to do. But I got to the point where I was training, over 5,000 loan officers across the country in sales, and started developing this. So the first thing, and by the way, this is like $5,000 worth of value you're going to get in the next few minutes. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
how
So
much this
stay
course is.
tuned.
This course
Don't
is, but I'm going to give you like some condensed versions of it. It's not the whole course, but But when you're having the meeting, the first thing is set intention, right? Set intention, set expectations. We have a tendency when we go to meetings, whether we're in a car, because this is how I learned it, because I was in a car and I was white knuckling as I'm on my way going, oh, I hope they like me. I hope they like me. I hope they like me, right?
Saying your prayers.
Yeah, and you go, God, please let this be the one, right? Like all these things. And I'm white knuckling and I'm thinking that, and I'm thinking, okay, to me, that was a one-sided conversation because I knew I was going to come in. So let's just, if you're not watching, you want to watch later. But I would come into the meeting and I was like literally on them, right? Because I hope they like me. I hope they like me. And they're going, ah. It's like the Pepe Le Pew and the cat, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, how do I neutralize the conversation? So I started walking in and saying, let's set some intention. Let's set some expectations about this meeting. One of three things is going to happen as a result of this meeting. And so let's talk about that. So number one, and in sales, you always do alternative first, always. You may decide that you don't want to work with me, and that's okay. And did you hear what happens in the psyche of your mind? If they decide not to work with me, it's okay.
You let them
I'm
off the
not
hook.
going to die. I'm not going to shake. I'm not going to have a seizure. Life will go on.
Right.
I'm giving them permission to say it, that they don't want to work with me because I'd rather know than wonder. Write that one down. It's better to know than wonder because wonder is hope and prayer. Oh, when's the phone going to ring? Please, God. Right? So let's set that intention. So, number one, you may decide not to work with me, and that's okay. You also may decide that you want to work with me, and that would be okay too. Now, notice I didn't say great. I'd say that would be okay too. Would you agree? Good. Great. So we're in agreement with that. So you may decide not to work with me, and you may decide to work with me, and that would be good. Now, the reason I didn't say great is because the third element is what was missing and what is missing in relationships, because that was one-sided. You get to decide yes, you get to decide no. Third element, I may decide. And you can soften this, and I work with my clients on this a lot
On
because I've
softening.
gone through it so much that I feel confident enough to say it the way I'm going to say it. Okay. The third element is I may decide that this is not a good relationship for me and my team. Okay. If you want to soften it, you can say, we may jointly decide that this is not a good relationship, that this is not a good complement for each
Right.
other. Is that okay as well? And you're getting permission. So now what happens is, so I come in like this, I just neutralized it, and now it's almost like this. They're going, ooh, I got to sell me too.
Right. That's right.
And so now we can have an adult conversation. Right. So, given that, thank you for agreeing with me. I think that's great. So now we know we are either going to work together or decide we're not going to work together. And that is perfectly fine. It's better for us to know than wonder. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a handful of questions. And then when I'm finished, I would love if you want to ask me those same questions too, so we can learn more about how we might collaborate together. Okay, now I'm going to stop right there. Any questions on that?
Right.
Any comments? No, I'm out of character here. I'm out of score.
You're not doing it anymore. There
I'm
are
not doing more. Any questions, Julie? Comments?
so this is brilliant, and this is what we are taught for those of us who have programs, and we are taught to let people off the hook immediately so that when we go through that strategy session or the dreaming call or whatever it is that we're meeting for, this is the way that you would close deals, is that you let them off the hook first. And you also let them know that you don't take everyone. I mean,
Yeah,
not everyone I don't have enough appointments on my calendar to take everyone. So
yeah,
I only work with clients who are ready, for
yeah,
change and transformation. And so I mean, I think that that's a great thing. And I teach this to people who are interviewing for jobs too.
yeah.
It's not just a one-sided interview. Like,
It's not.
yes, they are trying to interview you to see if you're a good fit for their team, but you're also interviewing them to see if they're a good fit with you and your
Yeah,
values.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Because the worst thing in the world is to go to 10 interviews and finally somebody lands a job and it's the place that you hate the most.
that's right.
You
Right.
didn't
And
like
you
it
took
at
the
all.
job because you're desperate, right?
Yeah,
You need that. And so
there's above and beyond and below the line. I
the
mean, yeah,
scarcity, yes, that's
yeah,
so true.
yeah,
Oh my
it's so
goodness.
important.
This
So go
okay.
ahead. Yeah, go
No,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. It's okay. I
What
could go
was
on, Julie. I'm telling you, I could go on and on and on and on and on because I haven't even gotten to the 5 things and we're already at 30 minutes. So there
I
you
know,
go.
and you know, I am, I mean, I could talk to you all day. I really could. I mean, it is you and I think, are so aligned with our values. And this is what
Yeah,
like attracts like, iron
yeah,
sharpens iron. And
yeah.
this is why I encourage people to get out there and meet people.
Mhm.
And even, you know, we were talking in the green room too. There is there is a FOMO. You know, when you start to network, and every time you start getting invited to go to conferences or
Yeah,
go to networking events, or, you know, I want to fly somewhere and be part of this so that I could say I was in the room. Being in
yeah,
the room is important, but there's also discernment
yeah.
about, do I need to be out there just meeting people for the sake of meeting people and being there, or at
Mhm.
what point do I need to manage what I have right here and make sure I do a good job with this that's right in front of me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna give you something totally different. I'm sorry, everybody. We're not going to get to the 5 questions that you should be asking during an interview with a partner, but we are going to talk about, oh, that's called an open loop, by the way. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's an open loop. Sorry, that's not going to happen. So at least on this call. So there's
You
a
can
couple
reach
things.
out to Lady Jen and get
Oh yeah,
those
you
five.
can reach out and we'll have a conversation. But here's the thing: you don't want to come in to. Are you ready for this? I'm going to give you a whole bunch of S words. This is why I wrote a
Love
book
it.
called Impact, which is an acronym. Okay, it's
Yes.
an acronym for acronym teaching. But
Right.
this is cognitive learning. You'll learn it much better. But you don't want
That's
to
right.
walk into. Let me just preface so I don't forget this. The intent of networking is not to close business. It's not to get business, right? It is to determine who you might want to have as a potential partner. Because remember, if you get one deal, that's what you got. But if you get one partner, you get multitudes, right? You
That's
want a
right.
fleet of people helping you fish. You want a fleet of people. You
Yes.
got your own boat, but you have your fleet.
Yes.
And so if you walk in and you're the squirrel, so here's your S word, right? Squirrel. All you are is a nut collector. You're collecting business cards. Can I have your business card? Can we do this? Make our phones touch? Can we do
Right.
that? Can we do that? And you just filled with blah, blah, blah. And you will drown in your own saliva. This is bottom liner right there. Right? You don't want to be the squirrel.
That's
Oh, here
right.
they come again. Like, gimme, 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 gimme. Yeah, I need some nuts, right? You don't want to be that. You also don't want to be the skunk, right? The
Oh,
skunk,
yeah.
where you're standing and you're talking to a few people, and someone sees out of the corner eye that you walked in, like, oh, pretend like it's a laugh. Let's go outside. Let's go get another cocktail because here comes the skunk. Like, ooh, ooh, that one, the one that comes up and leeches to everybody, right? And is the skunk. You don't want to be the skunk.
People
You
run from.
also don't, right? You also don't want to be the slug or the what's that little thing that crawls up it's cute
Snail,
and furry. It's cute and furry, and it's out down in
caterpillar.
no, it's not in Costa Rica. Um,
Oh,
it's not a slug, but anyway, we'll call it a slug. It goes, hi. Right, it talks to itself. You don't want to be the slug. You don't want to be the one that walks in and then becomes the wallflower. That's a waste of
right.
time, right? So you don't want to be that one. It's like, I never really talk to them because they don't talk to anybody either. I knew somebody who used to be, I got to come up with another word. She's just, you know, I don't know. She felt entitled. I got to find an S word. But she would sit in the corner, wait for people to come to her.
Yeah,
You
an
know,
order taker is what I call
it
her.
was just crazy. Yeah, and she's like, I'm beneath all this networking. I just want you to come to me. But so she had a whole attitude, and so nobody went to her. But the slug is the one who's just like, I'm here. I'm having a cocktail. Don't ever have more than two, by the way. I had that, and how are you? Same old, right? It's all that. Ugh, don't be that person. You want to be the spider. You want to be the one who builds this beautiful, gorgeous, strong web that attracts people, right? Now, we're not going to eat you alive, right? But it attracts people. And there's beauty in that. If you've ever seen a spider web, it's so beautiful, right? And it's so constructed. And it's got its act together, and you have your systems together to follow through with everybody so that you don't have one and done, but one and one and one and one and one, right? And those that be that spider that where you walk in and it's like, ooh, there's something about that person when they walk in that you're just going, I got to go talk to that person. I
I
have
know.
to be that
They're
person.
magnetic. Yes.
And then they see you pulling people to meet and telling them why and going on to the next one and engaging with everybody. That's what you want to create, a web of clients or of referral partners that you can rely on in any market, because life events happen all the time, whether this person's in office or that person's in office, rates are high, the world's falling apart, it's snowing, it's blizzarding, things happen, and you want to have that web that you can always rely on.
Mm-hmm. So true. That's a beautiful analogy. That's just, it's just, I always say you don't want to be the person that people run from, like, oh my gosh, there she is. She's going to want me to buy something,
Yeah.
Or or the person who's just the Debbie Downer. You talked
Yes.
about that, the slug.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you want to be the spider, because everyone is attracted to that spider web.
Yeah.
When you see, I mean, I don't like spiders personally,
I
but
don't
one put me in the hospital for 3 days. So, but when you see the beautiful web with the spider in the middle,
it's designed.
you can't help but you can't help
Yeah.
but look at it. You keep your distance from
Right.
me,
But
but
you're
you're
keeping
attracted to
this,
it.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the metaphor here is that you've designed this.
Yes. And
It's
it's beautiful.
attractive, right?
Yes.
You have intention behind what you're doing, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
I want to be part of that web.
Yeah.
I want to know more people. She's going places. She knows a bunch of people.
Exactly.
He's got it. He's winning. And I
Yeah.
want to be part of that team, and I want to play on that game. I don't want to be the squirrel.
Right.
I don't want to be running around. I don't want to be known as the skunk. I don't want to be the slug.
No. Yeah. I love that analogy. And I think that is brilliant. And so
Thank you.
I'm glad that you switched and shared that with us, because that is something that will stick with us forever.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about Lady Jen, here is her website, and I suggest that you get out there and let her know what that you need something, and contact her. You can also, how can they get your 5 questions?
Yeah. I don't know. You're putting me on the spot, Julie, because I actually just save that for my clients
Oh,
typically,
okay.
but I
Well,
was going to share it, and I was going to share it. We just didn't have enough time, but yeah, it requires verbal communication. It's not just here are the questions, because there's so much behind it.
yeah.
It would be an absolute disservice to me, to you, for me to give you these questions and have you go, okay, the next question is blah, blah, blah.
All
The
right.
next question
Well,
is blah, blah, blah.
I get that,
Right.
because I'm
So
going,
yeah,
yeah.
because there's so much context around that, those questions, and me to verbally say what it means and how it lays out. So I wish I could give that to you, but what I would say is come to my master classes. You'll see those on the events schedule. Come to my master classes. You can ask the question there. I have a queue. If you get a VIP ticket, I have a special VIP experience hour beforehand where you can ask me anything.
Yes.
Anything, come to my masterclass and I'll answer
Yes.
that question for you.
If you want to know more about her, go to the events section, find out what's coming up. She is a wealth of information, and I am so grateful that I was on the ship and that you and I connected.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the things we always say: one connection can change your life. And you definitely have just changed mine. So thank you
Thank
so much
you. Thank you
for
so much. Thank you.
being here today, for sharing your wisdom, with us and for just being so giving and sharing. I just think you're one of my all-time favorite people. So thank you.
Oh, God. Thank you, Julie. Well, I'm just looking forward to a long relationship with you, and we have other ways that we're going to be working together. We haven't even tapped the surface. It's
No.
why we have another meeting. I think this week or next week or something, we have another meeting because we didn't do one and done. We're doing one and one and one and one and one and one.
That's right. And so, yes. And so, we always talk about too, in networking, you always look at people who are where you want to be. You look up and you link arms with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, and as you're helping those people who are looking up to you rise, you also need to look to the people coming behind you.
Absolutely.
And they're saying, but I want to be where you want to be. And then you link arms with them. And so it's kind of like we're
Parallel
linking
monkeys.
and we're all rising. Yes, we're
We're
all
just all
rising.
parallel monkeys.
Yes. And so that's great. So thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful. And I'm going to ask you one more question that I always ask. The name of this show is It's How You'll Be Remembered, because I used to teach simply just etiquette. And I would always say it's not just etiquette, it's how you'll be remembered, which is really the lasting impact.
Yeah.
Tell us how you will be remembered.
Oh, in life, right? In life.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do this thing, other things, yeah, in life. Part of the reason why success to significance was a big thing for me is that I was in the hustle for so long in the mortgage business, and I was it. And the day that I retired, I had funded $1 billion of loans. That was one of my triggers. Is once I fund $1 billion, I'm out, right?
Yeah.
I funded and I continued to network because now I was building this business. And someone said to me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a mortgage." That was my identity, right? I had that identity of being a mortgage person. It's one of the things I coach my clients. I never respond with, "I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm a podcaster." I always respond with, "Thank you so much for asking me. But what I'd really like to share is who I am, not what I do."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love sharing. I love sharing that. So that's where success to significance came in, is like, I want to leave my footprint, right? Leave my fingerprint, my print on the world. And writing a book was one part of it because I knew it would be out there for generations. That was very self-serving because it was for my family generations. That, great, 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 great grandma was an author, right? And you could see her thoughts in print.
Yes.
And because we're forgotten after a certain amount of years, right? So that was one thing. But the bigger thing for me is being significant and leaving an impact to those who need. Grant Cardone says this. He says people quit on money once they made their, I got mine, I got my million, I'm done. I'm not going to help anybody else. I got mine. Well, if you know how to make $1 million, if you know how to make 100,000, if you know how to make 10,000 a month or 50,000 or $100,000 a month, it's your obligation in this world to make more so you can give more.
Right.
And
Yes.
so my philanthropy work is one of the most important things for me, whether it's helping women and children who are homeless, helping girls that are trafficked, helping veterans, helping animals. It is one of the biggest things that I want to leave an imprint on. And thankfully I was knighted because of that activity. I didn't do it to get it. I got it because I was doing it. And so it just is an extension of what I love to do and leave an impact in the world. So, as a speaker, we never know who we're going to impact. People will never respond or make comments or feedback. But then 5 years, you'll see someone run up to you on stage, or after you get off stage and go, "Oh my God, I heard you speak 5 years ago. And that one thing you said changed my life." And it's just, I'm getting emotional talking about it.
I know.
That is just, we don't expect it, but man, when we get it, it's the most powerful feeling. It's the most humble feeling. And you're like, gosh, okay, so I am going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to continue to push forward with this because I am making an impact.
That's right. That's right. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And your heart is just, people can just see your light and your heart shine. And so, You know, we always talk at Ziegler, we talk about you have to be the person you need to be so that you can do the things that you want to do and have the life that you want. So, you know, it's, you know, in order to get there, there are these steps, and what you just described beautifully is exactly that it's really, you're going to do the work now so that you can have the impact in the life that you want, that's your purpose. And so thank you for sharing that. I appreciate
My
that.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, it has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for giving so much time and your wisdom. And I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Everybody go out and have a great day.
Wonderful day. Thank you.